What can we do for undocumented students?
What's your favorite Philadelphia landmark?
How can we make quality pre-K a reality?
What's the difference between working in city council and working as the mayor?
What is your favorite Philadelphia sports team?
What can we do to make community college more affordable?
Where are you guys from? What school? Oh, all Tilden? Oh, cool. That's good. You got a good principal. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Kiara Berry. I'm an 8th grade treasurer at Tilden Middle School. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of us being here with you today.
It's my pleasure. I work for you.
My question for you today is, what is the most important part of your job?
It's trying to give kids like yourself and even younger kids than you the opportunity to really succeed. And we have not done a good job in educating our kids, and that's why we implemented pre-K. And we're trying to get pre-K for 6,500 kids. We're about 2,000 kids in now. 3- and 4-year-old babies. They're really cool and nice, and you were there once before yourself, that age. And to give them the opportunity to read by 3rd grade and to do well in high school and college or CTE or wherever they want to go. That's my most important job, and it's my biggest responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who's up?
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Marissa Wolachek.
Hi.
My question for you is, how do you feel about student-led action research? Student-led action research.
Well, I think students will lead eventually. I mean, I'm 58 years old, so I don't have that many years left, and you guys are going to be coming up in this space. So whether you are in business or you work for a company or whether you're in the military or whether you run for council or mayor, I think the students should lead, and I think you should have a voice. And people should listen to that voice because you'll be the leaders of tomorrow. And I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Mahmoud Fofana.
Nice to meet you.
My question was, how do you feel about Trump's immigration ban?
I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. And you have to remember this, okay? Are you from another country?
No.
No, you were born here?
No, I was not.
Where were you born?
I was born in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. How many else in the audience was born in another country? Okay. Well, at one point in time, the Irish, where I come from, came to this country in the 1840s because we were being starved to death by the British in our own country. So we had no place else to go, but we came here on boats. Some of the people died in the passage across, similar to what slavery was like. Not exactly like that, because we didn't come in chains. We came willingly, but we had no other choice. And we came to Philadelphia and New York and Boston and places like that. They didn't want us here because we were Catholic, just like the Muslims. How many Muslim members are here? Well, Catholics weren't wanted here either, and they burned down churches in Philadelphia. St. Michael's in Kensington, they burned to the ground. St. Augustine's in Old City, they burned to the ground. St. Philip Neri in Queen Village, they tried to burn to the ground, but were stopped. So I have a particular anger about any president or any person thinking that they're the only ones that are allowed to be in this country. All of us came from somewhere else, whether we came in chains, whether people came in chains as slaves, or whether we came here as immigrants. Only the Native Americans were here first. So everybody else came at a different time. And Trump's message of hatred and division and divisiveness is terrible for our country. So that's why we're a sanctuary city. We're not turning anybody over to the federal government. We protect all our people. We protect the people who want to live in this country. And we appreciate the fact that you're here from Saudi Arabia or from anywhere else in the world. And your religion doesn't matter, because in the end, there's one God, and we all pray differently to the same God. And she will protect us. She.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. God's got to be a woman, don't you think? Who would be able to do all this without, being a man? We can't do nothing.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Stefan Sun, and I really thank you for this opportunity for being here. And my question for you is, what is the best part of being the mayor?
Sitting here talking to you, going to pre-K, going to community schools. Tilden is not a community school yet?
Yes.
It is? Oh, we are. Okay, good. That's good. Tilden is, okay, fine. I got you. But going to community schools and being around young people, because in the end, this is what the government should be all about, is promoting and helping young people be safe and be educated and do a good job. So these kinds of events with you is what makes my day. Being around adults all the time is annoying. So being around kids is fun. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katrina Harm, and I want to thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
And I'm in the 8th grade, and my question is, so how is it like controlling, like being the mayor of Philadelphia?
You're not in charge of as much as you think you are. You know, like I have a lot of people who work with me, and they're in charge of various things. I have a police commissioner, a fire commissioner. I have a person in charge of education. I have a person in charge in picking up the trash and rec centers and libraries. So I work with people. So I'm not really like, I'm in charge kind of, like people will be nice to me because I'm the mayor, but I really work with everybody, and it's really important that you accept everybody's contribution to the government and not try to control everything. And where are you going? You're in 8th grade now?
Yes.
Where are you going to go to high school?
I'm planning to go to Parkway, Center City.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I think that being mayor is more about setting a tone for everybody else to do their jobs as best as they can, so that we all do a good job together. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey.
My
name
is... What's your name?
Akisi Njorai.
Nice to meet you.
I'm in 8th grade, and I would like to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. What? Get closer to the microphone.
What?
It'll make me start giggling now. Just read it. Just read it.
My question is, why is the soda taxes higher?
Because Harrisburg, which is our state capital, is responsible for funding education. They have not funded education properly because they don't want to raise taxes. So it leaves us holding the bag on trying to get you guys educated. So we look for new forms of revenue all the time. So the general forms of revenue are wage taxes, when people pay tax on what they make, or real estate taxes, where they pay a tax on their home. And we've raised those taxes so many times over the years because Harrisburg refuses to fund education properly, not only in Philadelphia but around the rest of the state, that we needed new sources of revenue. I didn't want to do the beverage tax, but I knew that I couldn't afford to educate kids in pre-K or to pay for improvements in parks and recreation centers and libraries and have community schools unless we had new revenue. So bottom line is that stuff is not really good for you anyway. It makes you fat and it gives you diabetes. And I'm not saying you shouldn't drink it, but what I'm saying is that we need the revenue that comes from it to pay for things to keep you educated and to keep you healthy. So I think it's a good trade-off.
Thank you.
Okay. And if your retailer is charging you more in the tax than the tax is, because I had a guy, we were at Police Athletic League Day, right? And he was the mayor, a young man from Ben Franklin High School. And he was not mad at me, but he said, you know, I buy a 16-ounce soda, and my soda's $1 more than it used to be. Well, I said, your 16-ounce soda should be $0.25 more than it used to be. And if the 75 cents that retailer is putting on top of that, you should go back to him and tell him he's ripping you off. So what you should do is look at the cost of the soda, and it's 0.015 times that number is what that tax should be. If it's more than that, you should call out that retailer because he's ripping you off. Okay? Thank you. Drink water, by the way, anyway. It's good for you. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
Francine Tilly.
Hi.
My question is, how can I help as a student with the immigration ban?
With immigration ban? You could write your U.S. Senator. One of our problem U.S. Senators is Pat Toomey, who's a Republican, but he still represents you and your family pay his salary. You should write to him and tell him that you're really upset with his position on this. He's one of the senators who wants to take money away from Philadelphia because we protect our immigrant residents. You should write to Senator Bob Casey and thank him for supporting immigrants and supporting us. And you should write to your Congressman, Dwight Evans or Bob Casey or Brendan Boyle, because all three of them. Where do you live? What neighborhood? Southwest?
63rd Street.
Yeah, Dwight Evans is your congressperson. Write him and encourage him to continue to fight back Trump and to fight back these ugly people who are trying to. No, let me tell you something. You don't know. You know, I'm 58 years old. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. They want to turn back all civil rights stuff. You ever hear of a guy by the name of John Lewis? Anybody know who John Lewis is?
No.
Well, do me a favor. When you're done here today, you go on your cell phone or on your computer and you Google John Lewis. John Lewis is the last remaining live person who spoke at the mall in Washington when Dr. King spoke. He was one of the speakers. He's the last living person. I saw the scars on his head from being beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Alabama, for marching for voting rights. And these guys in Washington, some of these ugly guys, they want to take away voting rights. They want to take away civil rights. They want to put black people and brown people back in a corner where they used to be. And that we can't go back there again. We can't go back. That guy Steve Bannon, and they're crazy, crazy people. And they want to take this country in a direction that is really wrong. And a lot of people suffered and died and were imprisoned and were beaten and were water hosed. Dogs bit them. All kinds of stuff went on because they were a different color and they didn't have the same rights as anybody else. So you write the people who are doing the wrong thing like Toomey, and write the people doing the right thing like Evans, Brady, Boyle, and Casey. Okay?
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Angelina Singh.
What is it?
Angelina Singh.
Nice to meet you.
My question is, what made you want to become mayor?
I have no idea. I worked for a state senator for about 14 years. In 1991, I thought I needed a change of career, so I ran for city council at large. And city council at large means I represented the whole city, and I did that for almost 24 years. And I was either going to get out of government or I was going to move on to another job. And the opportunity to run for mayor arose, and I got in. I had to resign my council job and got in, and I won. And I was surprised as anybody that I won. But now this is my job, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it wasn't like something I laid in bed every night and wished I'd become mayor. It just kind of happened, and I think it was the right thing. And I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I'm happy to be able to be here talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Nicole Trayor. I
Hi.
go to Tilden Middle School. I'm in the 8th grade, and I thank you for this opportunity for all of us. My question is, when do you think Donald Trump will stop this immigration ban?
When the courts stop him doing it. I mean, the one thing that we can always be assured of is that the federal courts are a separate, independent branch of government. And they will hold him in check, as they did in the 9th District, as they did in other districts throughout the country. And I think in the end, he will be stopped by the court. And also if you watch on TV these days, some of these places in Iowa and other places, these people are angry. Obamacare. I mean, it was funny because anybody watch Jimmy Kimmel? All right. So he sent a guy out in the street to interview people about Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act. They said, "You like Obamacare?" "No." "Do you like the Affordable Care Act?" "Oh yeah, I like the Affordable Care Act." Same thing. Part of the problem is Obama's name's on it. I mean, if they just took Obama's name off the Affordable Care Act, it might survive. There are 220,000 people in Philadelphia who are covered by ACA, the Affordable Care Act. If we lose the Affordable Care Act without any replacement, we're going to have overflow in our emergency rooms. We're going to have people dying because they don't go to the doctors to get checkups and treatment for simple things that then get worse and kill them. I mean, this is a pretty ugly situation, and it's all because Obama was the person who did it. Now, I think Obama and Michelle and Barack and their kids was probably the best first family this country's ever had. I mean, those young ladies were wonderful. They were smart. They behaved themselves. The mom and dad loved each other, got along. Even the mother-in-law was a good. I mean, everybody liked the mother-in-law. Who likes the mother-in-law, right? So they did a really good job. But in the end, the courts will stop him, and the voters will stop him in 2018 because I think people are really angry now about Congress, the Senate, and the House, and I think that'll go back. Either one or both houses will go back Democrat in 2018, and that's how you stop him.
Thank you.
Okay. Stop him by never giving up either. Seriously. What's your name?
My name is Tashana Thompson. I'm in 8th grade. Okay. I have 2 questions to ask you. My first question is, do you think of ways to improve schools, learning, and the environment?
What happened was about 13 years ago, the state took over the school system. And again, they refused to fund it. In many ways, it kind of got separated from the city. My view is we should use the recreation department, the water department, the sanitation department, and work with our schools to make school environment better. So what you'll see is a lot of times there's improvements to schoolyards where they take up all the cement and they put down nice grass and stuff. That's water department doing that because we want to manage stormwater. We have community schools where we're bringing people out who work for the city into the schools to improve the environment in the schools by bringing in medical help, social services, psychological services, trauma-related services. Some of our kids see things that soldiers don't even see when they're in a war. So I think taking ownership of our schools by the city government is the best way to improve the learning opportunities for cities. So what's your second question?
My second question is, what do you personally focus more on?
What do I
personally focus more on?
Focus on?
Yes.
I focus on education. Obviously, public safety is important. Our police relations with our communities is important because a lot of people of color have been treated badly by some police officers, not all, but some, and we need to change that. When I was a kid, my parents would say to me, if you have a problem and you're out in a neighborhood you're not comfortable with, or you're in Center City and you feel unsafe, find a police officer. Well, not every family in Philadelphia tells their child that. And my aspirational goal is that every parent and every grandparent will tell their kid, regardless of their color or their ethnicity or their religion, find a police officer, he or she will take care of you. And I think that's really, really important, and we need to change that. And for many years, when I was a kid in the 1960s and 70s, every cop looked like me, right? And we're white, and we're Irish or Italian, and black people weren't treated right by them. Frank Rizzo was mayor, they weren't treated right by them. And that residual anger and fear and hostility has been bubbling up for years. And you see it in Ferguson, you see it in Baltimore, you've seen it in other places where African American people have been treated badly or killed unnecessarily. So we need to change that, and we need to make sure that our police officers are trained, are disciplined, and treat people right. And we can do that. I think we can accomplish that goal.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Hi.
What's your name?
Washington Blanco.
Nice to meet you.
My question is, what are you doing to change the murder rate in Philadelphia?
Well, our murder rate, first of all, you have to understand, one homicide is one too many, all right? We're down. Our homicide rate is down. It's been our crime rate is the lowest it's been in probably 30 years. That doesn't mean that everything's perfect and every neighborhood is safe. Obviously, you might live in a neighborhood where you see violence and you see crime. The biggest problem is the availability of availability of guns. You can get a gun faster than you can get most things in the city. And the federal government and the state government are gun-happy people, and they want everybody to have a gun, which is crazy, because some people shouldn't have weapons. We have to continue to try to find a way to reduce the amount of illegal weapons in our society. But the most important thing in changing the crime rate and the homicide rate is everybody has a job that can make a good living. They don't worry about hustling drugs or robbing people or robbing cars and things like that. They go to work every day. They're too busy to get involved in crime. So by improving education and expanding the opportunity for employment, that'll reduce the crime rate even more, and getting the illegal guns off the street is important.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Celia Frazier, and I'm in the 5th grade. And my question is, what do you do to help companies and schools?
Companies and schools? Well, companies, we got to continue to reduce the wage and business taxes, which we're doing and that we're proposing again in the next year's budget. And schools, we need to connect our schools, our high schools and colleges with our companies, so that people will hire people who are coming out of our school system. And one of the things we're working on now with our rebuild program is getting more and more people of color involved in the construction trades. Because right now they're underrepresented in the construction trades, and we need to make sure that they get training and opportunity to work building these parks, recreation centers, libraries, high-rise buildings, and others. So we're working together to kind of put everybody together so we hire Philadelphians, and Philadelphians are prepared to take on those jobs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Afsa Khan, and I thank you for this opportunity. My question is, who inspired you to be mayor?
I really don't know. My parents were obviously important people in my life who kept me on the straight and narrow and got me to go to the right schools. I went to St. Joe's Prep and LaSalle University. And the Jesuit fathers and brothers at LaSalle who taught me in prep school were very much influential in my life. And what they taught was that you're really never seriously happy as a person unless you're serving to other people, unless you're being in service to others, then you're really happy. And I think that message pushed me in a direction of public service as opposed to private business. Okay? Salam.
Hi, my name
Hello.
is Emmanuel Dizalmi from Southern Middle School, and thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
And my question is, how are you planning to help the school that don't have books and technology?
Again, our community school model will enable our community school coordinators to bring these resources. We only have 9 community schools right now. We're planning to have 25 total community schools by the end of the first term. That will help in many ways. The city has access or had access to luxury suites at Wells Fargo Center, Lincoln Financial Field, and Citizens Bank Park. We've leased those facilities out to the private sector to raise $200,000 from Lincoln Financial Field, from $100,000 from Wells Fargo to put into the fund for the school district of Philadelphia. I mean, I can go to a game, I can get a ticket myself. I don't need to have a luxury box. We're working on getting the Phillies box leased out. So that may be $500,000 of money for books and materials. That's the fund for the school district is a nonprofit that raises money privately to provide things for schools that schools can't afford to buy themselves. So my inauguration party raised a couple $100,000 for school supplies and books, and we work with organizations like Philadelphia Citizens for Children and Youth and other organizations to provide resources. The bottom line is the state has a responsibility to fund education. They don't do it, so we have to step up and find money when they don't provide it, but we're working every day at it.
Hello, my name is Mamadou Karamoko. I'm the 8th grade president.
You're in 8th grade? You look like you graduated college already.
I'm the 8th grade president at Tilton Middle School, and I appreciate the opportunity to come in. What do you hope to accomplish for the city this year?
We want to continue moving forward with our beverage tax collection. We want to get our recreation centers and libraries on the road to being rehabilitated. We want to expand our community schools for more than 9. We want to expand our pre-K. You have to understand there's like 80 pre-K, privately run pre-Ks in the city that have expanded their seats, and 75% of those pre-Ks are owned by African Americans, minorities, women who run neighborhood businesses. They've been able to hire more teachers, pay their teachers more money, and take more kids in to this quality pre-K. So expanding that effort is important. And also for this year, I want to make sure we continue to improve the relations between our citizens and our police. It's extremely important to me. And I would like one of our teams to win a championship. Probably the Sixers. I think the Sixers are the next up. I really do. I think the Flyers are a little bit behind. Eagles are building. Phillies are but I think the Sixers are going to be fun. So we'll have a parade at some point in time, I hope.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Musa Sanoko.
Nice to meet you, man.
My question today is, do you feel pressure as being the mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pressure all the time because I care about what I'm doing and I care about people's well-being, and I want you all to be happy, and I want you all to be safe, and I want you all to be educated. So yeah, there's pressure, but there are times when I just have to get away. Like this weekend, I'm going out to Pittsburgh to see the Flyers and Penguins play outdoors at Heinz Field. So I was invited by the mayor of Pittsburgh, so I'm going to go out and see him. So I have some fun, but sometimes it's a little tense, a little intense, and you just have to deal with it. You have to eat right and get enough sleep and try to keep yourself on a even keel.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Deshaun Young, 8th grade secretary. My question.
What are you guys eating? Because some of you guys are like huge, man. What's
My
up?
question are, what are your plans? What are your plans to make the school better in Philadelphia?
Try to keep on banging at Harrisburg to give us the money that they should give to not only Philadelphia but every school district in the state, because we're not the only ones that are struggling. Other districts in the state, around the state, are doing the same, are struggling with the same stuff. But it's, as I said earlier, it's about making sure that the city resources that we have are integrated into the schools, that we have our community school people in there, that we have our social service people in there, that we have our recreation and library people in there, and also working with universities and hospitals to bring resources to the school. I talked to the principal of Martin Luther King High School, who has a full library but no librarian. So we're working with Drexel University, who has a huge library department, to have some of their students maybe come in and help with the library needs that are there. So these are the kind of things, like it's kind of like problem solving every day. People bring stuff to you and you try to hook stuff up. We're working with our CTE schools, Dobbins, Mastbaum, and those schools. Dobbins especially, we're hooking them up with companies that will, Nicole Miller with Five Below, so that they can work. Five Below is headquarters are going to be here in Philadelphia, and they need a coffee shop and a pastry shop. So we're working with Dobbins to bring their culinary arts people to run the store and learn what it's like to be a business person and to sell stuff. So it's all about relationships, and it's about building relationships with people. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Claudia Duray, and I'm an 8th grade student. My question is, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think Black Lives Matter movement is talking about the right stuff. I think it needs to be talked about. I think that for too long, we've taken for granted that our police, should be doing the right job. And when you have the Freddie Grays and all those situations, people need to stand up and speak up. And I've been yelled at by the Black Lives Matter movement, even though I'm pretty progressive and I'm trying to change things. But sometimes you have to just accept people's anger, accept people's disgust, and listen to what people have to say. And I think the BLM is doing the right thing by highlighting inequities and abuse. Look, I'm 58 years old. My son is 27. We're both white men. Neither of us have ever been stopped or frisked in my life. But I know young black men who are 20 years old have been stopped 4 or 5 times in a year. And people get angry about that because they're not doing anything, and they get profiled, and they get highlighted, and they get put on the hood of a car and made to empty their pockets when they didn't do anything. And that stuff is wrong. And if Black Lives Matter or the civil rights movement of the 60s, folks did the same thing. They spoke up and they protested and they made their views known, and things changed. So I admire them, and I support them, and I listen to them when they talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
What's your name?
Andrew Mara.
How you doing?
And
Good.
I thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
And my question is, how long are you planning to be mayor?
Well, I can only be mayor for 8 years. That's by law. I can only do 2 terms. Hopefully, I'll be blessed with a second term if God willing, and I do a good job. Right now, I just focus on every day, doing my best job every single day, and it's been a little over a year since I was sworn in. And I will tell you, though, at the end of if I do 8 years, I'll be done. I'll be waving to you at a beach in Jamaica. Because I like the Caribbean. It's fun.
Hi, my name is Alpha Maru Jallo. I'm in 7th grade. My question for you is, do you think that immigration is good for the United States?
Immigration is awesome for the United States. Where are you from? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Guinea.
Okay. Let me tell you a story. I got involved with a women's high school basketball program called Newman Goretti. They got a great men's program, and then they have a great women's program. 4 years ago, we had 3 young ladies from Nigeria who came. They came with sandals on their feet and their clothes in a trash bag off the plane. They had nothing, right? We took them in. We got them in school. We worked with the team, and we had great young women basketball players from Philly, women like Cece Cryer and Siani Martin, who are now at Rutgers and at Towson, AJ Timber, who's at Towson, and these 3 Nigerian girls who never played basketball before. Matter of fact, one is 6'9". Her name is Felicia. She took the ball down first practice in a rebound, put the ball under her arm like a football, and ran down the court. So she didn't even know what was going on, right? She is now at Virginia Commonwealth as a freshman. Our other one, Ella, who is older, is graduating from Boston College this year. And the other night, I turned on ESPN2, and I'm watching Texas Austin play Baylor. And who's in there but Mide Arabroa, who's one of our other girls, playing the best center in the country at Baylor. Immigration's awesome. And people come here because the opportunity to do better is here. Sometimes when you live in countries that are either dictatorships or they're negative to women or they're negative to people of different faiths, you come to America because that's where you should be safe. And that's why I'm so upset with this Trump administration and their message to people is that they want to be divisive and they want to drive people apart so they can get what they want. But the fact that how old were you when you came here?
I'm from Guinea.
How old were you when you came here?
I'm 12.
You were 12. How old are you now?
Now I'm 13.
So you've been here a year? That's awesome. Don't you feel better here? Now,
Yeah.
I understand sometimes you get a little afraid because of what you're hearing from Trump, but understand you live in Philadelphia, and we protect you. We're a sanctuary city. We're not walking that back. We're not turning people over. All right. So you be proud of your Guinea, of your roots, and be proud that you're American because we're happy you're here. So
Okay.
welcome, and I'm glad you came.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Simonito.
Nice to meet you.
I got one question for you. After you heard about the immigration ban, what did you start doing?
Well, I went to the airport to try to get those people out of custody and was not successful because they sent people back. They sent 2 families back who had green cards. So, I mean, this is not these are not undocumented immigrants. These are people who went through sometimes 2 years of vetting. You know, when Trump says about intense vetting, you know, that stupid stuff he says. Well, these people were vetted for 2 years. They had green cards. They were stopped at the airport. They weren't allowed to go through customs. They were put on a plane and sent back to what country? They flew from Syria. They were Syrian refugees who came, whose families had bought a house for them in Allentown, who were ready and waiting for them. They had jobs for them, and they turned those folks back. So when I heard about it, I went to the airport and I tried to reason with the people there, but there was no reasoning with those folks. And even the customs and enforcement officers there looked like they didn't really want to do this. They were kind of like, I'm really sorry. Like they were sorry, but they had to do what they had to do because they were forced to do it. So we're going to fight to keep immigrants in this country and in this city. And if the rest of Pennsylvania doesn't want immigrants in their cities, send them to Philadelphia. We'll take them all because they start jobs, they open businesses, they employ people, and they work hard. And they're not criminals. And we have the lowest crime rate, although it's not perfect, in 30 years, and we're a sanctuary city. So when you hear people say about, chaos and crime and all this stuff, it's terrible. It's wrong, and it's a lie. So we're going to continue to stand up against it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Are you from somewhere else? Where'd you born here? Okay.
My name is Hafiz. I'm in 8th grade. And my question today is, what politician do you admire the most and why?
Oh, Barack Obama. Michelle Obama, who's not a politician. I wish she would have run for president. I supported Hillary Clinton, and I didn't know her that well. But once I got to know her, I liked her. But believe it or not, I like Dwight Eisenhower. And he's a Republican. He was a Republican. He's passed on now. But he was the general in charge of defeating the Nazis in Europe. He came back and became president and expanded the highway system, expanded Medicare, expanded Social Security, and more importantly, he desegregated the schools in Little Rock, Arkansas by using federal troops. He sent federal soldiers. See how Trump wants to send federal soldiers to lock people up? Well, Dwight Eisenhower sent federal soldiers to open up schools in segregated South. And that's why I admire him. And if you go into my office at my lobby, the waiting room, I have a portrait of Dwight Eisenhower.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Spirit Johnson. I thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
My question is, what is your advice for an upcoming entrepreneur?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to improve our neighborhood business corridors. So whatever neighborhood you live in generally has a business corridor with shops and stores and dress shops and shoe stores and barber shop. We're trying to improve the safety and viability of those stores and shops and try to bring more people into being entrepreneurs. We've set up a number of programs that allow for tax breaks and other things to get your business up and running. And we're working with the tech community to bring more technology and IT to neighborhood business strips. So, what's your interest? What do you want to study, and what do you want to be?
Hair.
Hair.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you going to go to high school? Do you know?
Yes, Fieri.
Oh, cool. That's cool. They have a good program there. So yeah, and then hopefully we'll strengthen those business strips so you can open your own salon there.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jameer. I'm in 8th grade. Thank you for this opportunity. And my question is, what was it like for you growing up?
I grew up in a neighborhood that was white Irish Catholic. It was like 2/3 white Irish Catholic and 1/3 old Jewish people. So I grew up with a lot of Jewish experience. In my neighborhood, there was either a bar on every corner or a synagogue, one or the other. And it was in South Philly. And if you're familiar with the Mummers, it's kind of like Mummer neighborhood. My neighborhood wasn't always as progressive as I would have liked it. I remember growing up in 1968, which is way, way before you were even a thought in your parents' mind. And we had really terrible time going on. We had Richard Nixon running against Hubert Humphrey, and we had George Wallace was like representing the Ku Klux Klan and segregationists growing up. And we had Martin Luther King assassinated, Robert Kennedy assassinated. The Vietnam War was at its apex. Civil rights was a major issue, and people were struggling against people having civil rights. And it was a very scary time growing up in the mid-late 60s. I played ball, I played basketball, I played football, played street hockey. I mean, it was like a normal growing up. I mean, when in the summertime when you weren't in school, you left the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and when your mother used to tell you when the street lights come on, you got to be home. And if you weren't home, you were in trouble. So I mean, it was not much unlike what you experienced. I will tell you though, there was less violence and less guns in my neighborhood. There were drugs in our neighborhood. There was heroin in our neighborhood, and there was people would drink too much and get in fights. But it was fun. It was I still have the friends that I grew up with. I'm still friends with today. They have their own families. They're my age now. They're having grandchildren now. I mean, and it's like any neighborhood in the city. It was Irish Catholic and Jews. And it was fun.
You.
I had a good time.
Hi, my name is Lachey Miller, but my question for you today is, what do they do with the extra money from soda tax?
Well, we're not going to be any extra money. All the money we're collecting, we're going to use and spend on pre-K, on community schools, and on refurbishing our parks, recreation centers, and libraries. So we're not going to have any extra money. We're going to raise about $90 to $92 million a year, and we're going to pay for we have to borrow $300 million to do our parks and recreation centers over, and we're going to spend about I guess $40 million or so a year on pre-K, and when it's in its fullest complement, and about $10 to $12 million on community schools at full 25. So we're going to be using every dime of that on services to you and the neighborhoods you live in.
Okay.
Thank you. Drink water.
Hey, my name is Kiana, and I want to know how you feel about Donald Trump making the Mexican president pay for the wall.
Feel about what? Trump?
Mm-hmm.
And the wall? That's all crazy. I mean, they're not building that wall, and Mexico's not paying for it. And if he builds any of the wall, we're gonna pay for it. And the weird part of it is that Mexicans crossing the border are at its lowest at all time. So he's building a wall just to placate the crazy people who voted for him. And there are about 25% of people who really believe what he says, and the other people didn't like Hillary or wanted to change. I think they're having buyer's remorse now that they voted for him. So I think that things are going to change. And I think by 2018 there's going to be a total shift in balance of power. I don't like his way. I don't think following Barack Obama, who was kind of cool and hip and was nice and talked to people nice, this guy's just screaming, yelling, and making people angry. So I'm not happy with him. This is not the most proud time in our country for me, who's lived here my whole life, and hopefully things will change and he won't wreck the world by the time he's done.
I think.
Well, listen. Really want to thank you all. I've been at your school a couple times. I'll be at your school again. You got a great school community, great students, very nice diversity. Just do me a favor, take care of each other, look out for each other, respect each other's religions, respect each other's countries of origin, and just do your best to be nice to each other and be good. And if you guys continue to grow the way you are, when I'm old in a rocking chair, and when I'm dribbling down my face, I'll be comfortable and confident that the city's in good hands. So God bless you all. Okay, thank you.